Hello everyone, happy Tuesday of Holy Week. Well, not really happy, but it's blessed Tuesday of Holy Week. Hope your Holy Week has been going well. And we are quickly approaching the Paschal Triduum. We're quickly approaching Holy Thursday and Good Friday. But today we hear of something really sad in the Gospel. We hear about Jesus sitting down at table, reclining really, that he is so comfortable with his apostles that he is reclining at table with them. And then we hear Jesus was deeply troubled. He was deeply troubled. Why? Because he was about to tell them that one of them will betray him. And imagine that. Imagine someone you love, someone very close to you, has betrayed you. They don't know that you know. And so you still have to, pretend as if everything's fine. You still have to eat this Passover with him, eat this important dinner with him. And just imagine the feelings that you may have been experiencing, right? That I know my friend is betraying me, but yet he doesn't know that I know. And we're just pretending, right? He's just pretending to laugh with me and eat with me and all that. But deep down, I know in his heart, our friendship is already gone, is lost. I can only imagine what Jesus was feeling, right? That needing to love someone even when they choose to hurt you, when they choose to betray you. And just listen how John puts it, right? So Jesus said to him, meaning Judas, "What you are going to do, do quickly." And then we're told, so Judas took the morsel and left at once, and it was night. And just before that, we hear after Judas took the morsel, Satan entered him. That Judas literally made a pact with the devil. That Judas willingly, knowingly allowed evil to penetrate him, allow evil to enter into his heart. And so Satan entered him, and it was night. And it became the longest night for Jesus, right? From the Garden of Gethsemane at the Last Supper to Good Friday. So brothers and sisters, but John continues to go on, and not just Judas, but Peter, right? And then Jesus, after Judas leaves dinner, Jesus goes on to say more things about what will happen to him. And then Peter said, well, Lord, where are you going? And then Jesus says, where I'm going, you cannot go now, but you will go later. And then Peter said, Lord, where are you going? I will lay down my life for you. And then this is the second time that Jesus has to break bad news to them. And that he tells Peter, you say you will lay down your life for me now, but little do you know that before the day comes, before the cock crows twice, you will deny me 3 times. And of course, Peter, in his mind, he's like, I'll never do that. But yet, as we know, he does. And here we see 2 characters, right? 2 characters, Peter and Judas. They both went against Jesus, right? Judas deliberately, knowingly chose to enter into a pact that would betray Jesus. And now on the other hand, we have Peter, who truly, I believe, who truly loves Jesus and would lay down his life for him, as he would later on in I think 65 AD. But he allowed the world to scare him. Because we know that when push came to shove, Peter did deny Jesus 3 times. He said, I do not know him. I don't know him. And he cursed. He swore and said, I don't know that man. But yet Jesus did not stop loving him. And I don't believe Jesus stopped loving Judas either. But perhaps the difference is that Judas did not allow Jesus to love him. How do we know? Because Judas, he turned inward. He went and hung himself. In his shame, he turned inward. He believed that he was beyond redemption, probably. And so instead of turning to God, he turned to himself and he hung himself. But Peter, although he betrayed Jesus, he still believed in Jesus. He still loved him. He believed that Jesus could save him. He believed that Jesus would forgive him. And so Jesus, in his guilt, yes, he wept bitterly, we're told. But he never stopped believing. Instead of turning inward to himself in shame, it was out of his guilt that he turned to God and asked for forgiveness. And then we know how things happen. Jesus came back from the dead, asked Peter if he loves him, and then Peter continued to be the rock that our Lord has asked him to be. So brothers and sisters, how do we approach our failures and our sinfulness? When we do something wrong, and when we are in a state of sin or guilt or shame, whatever it may be, do we turn inwards? Do we focus on ourselves? You know what? I did this. I'm so bad. Or do we raise our eyes to God and ask for forgiveness? Because that was the main difference between Judas and Peter. Judas, in his shame, turned inwards, believing that God could not forgive him. So he died. He killed himself. But Peter, in his guilt, was remorseful and turned his eyes back to God and said, I'm sorry. And he was forgiven. Because, brothers and sisters, God is merciful, right? Yes, we may do bad things. We may think bad thoughts. But we are inherently good. God made us good. He said that we were very good, in fact. But our actions may not be. But our actions don't define us. Right? God's love defines us. And we need to keep returning to God. Keep turning back to him. Say, Lord, I'm sorry I failed you. I'm sorry I failed you. But here I am. And that's what Peter did. So brothers and sisters, on our journey of faith, we will fall. We may even deny Jesus. But what's important is not to turn inwards and wallow in our shame, but allow our guilt to move us to turn back to God. Because we know that God will forgive us. But of course, with all things, there is something that must happen first, right? We need to have a relationship with God. We need to have the trust in God before we will do that. So as we continue with Holy Week, let us, one, examine our spiritual lives. Let us examine our relationship with God. And two, reflect upon how we approach the times when we sin, the times when things are difficult. Let us reflect upon how we manage those times, whether we turn to ourselves or turn to other things or we turn to God. Because a life of knowing Jesus will move us away from turning inwards, but instead turn to God. And so on this Tuesday of Holy Week, let us ask the Lord to give us the grace of courage and of humility, that when we fall and when we fail and when we betray him by our actions and words, to not turn inwards, but to always fix our gaze on him. Because we're told that, our Lord said that whoever looks at him on the cross will be saved. Brothers and sisters, let us keep our eyes, our gaze fixed on Jesus this Holy Week, trusting that our Lord is faithful and that he is merciful. Blessed Tuesday of Holy Week to you. See you tomorrow. God bless.